Hi guys, the practice that I am going to do today is a request for hips and lower back. So this is a light practice and it's all supine, so you'll like this. I've got a little padding under the back of my head, not so much that it's changing the alignment of my head. And take whatever you need to be comfortable. So if you want a blanket underneath your back, that would be okay as well. And we'll just start by taking a breath or two, semi-supine position. So your shins are perpendicular to the floor. You're dropping the weight down into your feet. And as you exhale, you feel that you drop down through your back. You start to release your tension. You could sigh away your breath. And you take a moment or two to arrive here in your body, to internalize, let go of some of your thoughts and distractions. Close the eyes, soften the face. And then the first thing we'll do is bring the knees in towards us and just wrap around and kind of gently hug the legs in. And this is really just about us taking a note of how we feel around the hips and the lower back as we begin. So you can gently move here, gently squeeze and release. Tease out your lower back, release some of the resistance around your hips. Maybe rock a little bit side to side, feel the outer hip. And just really observe. Find the words in your mind that describe how your hips and your lower back feel right now. So if you feel stiff or limited or maybe a little fragile or sore, or maybe the areas just feel dull as you begin. And then we'll keep the right leg and put the left foot on the floor. We're going to do this whole sequence. This is one of my favorite sequences. We're going to do the whole sequence to the right side before we go over to the left side. So you just start by hugging in your right knee. And not too hard, not so hard that you feel hardening or compression in the front of the hip here and around the hip flexors. Just go gently and release it away again if you need to, and then just draw it back in. So you're kind of teasing out the tension. And then start to stir into the hip. So you kind of massage right into the joint. You feel the way the femur head moves in there, the acetabulum. You close your eyes and visualize what's going on there in your hip. You can change the direction as frequently as you like. Try and move equally in both directions. Go slowly, sensitively, and try and make the circle as precise as you can. So you're not just waving the knee around, the leg around. You're making the movement very precise. You can go side to side. Feel again how that is as you move away from the midline. So abduct and towards the midline, adduct. And again, you might want to move it away and then back in towards you. So it's just really gentle mobilization, just teasing out the tension. And then from here, the right ankle comes onto the left thigh. Dorsiflex your right foot. That helps to stabilize your knee and open your right hip. Now be sure that you're not moving your pelvis here. The tendency is that we move the right half of the pelvis away from the right armpit, so down the mat, and the left half we move up towards the left armpit. So we end up with the right side waist longer than the left side waist and the pelvis is on the skew. Try not to do that. Try and keep your pelvis nice and square, your hip open, both sides of your waist are the same length. You can stay here if this posture is difficult for you. Or you can bring the legs in towards you and bind around the back of your left thigh, if this feels okay for you. And again, we don't want to force. In the beginning, if the hip feels very tight, we may need to let the pelvis curl up towards us in order that we can relax the shoulders down and align the spine. As the hip becomes more open, try and drop your sacrum down so you keep the spine neutral and draw the legs in towards you. So you create a little opposition, that the tail, the sit bones moving away, the legs are drawing in. And you'll feel a stronger stretch this way with the sacrum on the floor and the spine neutral. But if you need to let the pelvis curl in order that you can soften your shoulders, that's okay as well. So explore a little bit, experiment. A lot of us will tip in this posture over to the right. That's the easier space. Try and come into the center. And you might want to go right and left a little bit, so you feel the difference there in sensation. Back into the center and take a breath or two. Try and send your breath all the way down and towards your pelvic space. Softening with your exhales. Feel that you're also releasing away through your back. You're letting the tension drop out of the body each time you exhale. Good. When you're ready, you can put your left foot on the floor. Slide your right leg over your left. And then when you feel ready, bring the legs back in towards you. So you're opening in a slightly different place. You take hold again of your left leg, so it can be the back of your left thigh or the front of your left shin. And again, our tendency will be to fall a little bit over to the right into the easy space. Try and come into the center. And you might want to rock a little bit to feel the difference there. Notice how it is when you tip a little bit over to the left, how you feel that opening more strongly in your outer right hip. So if you can find the middle ground again and squeeze the legs in. Drop the shoulders down. And breathe all the way into your pelvic space again. And you should feel that really clearly in this position, the expansion moving down towards the pelvis into the hips. And releasing and softening as you exhale. So you take again just a few breaths here. You can close your eyes. Long inhale. Long exhale. Good, again, releasing. So you take your left foot to the floor. You might just want to straighten your right leg down for a moment here. So you just release that kind of compression from here in your hip flexors. And then bring the leg back in towards you again. Bring the thigh all the way in towards your ribs, your knee towards your chest. And then you open the knee to... It's going to be a little bit more than 90 degrees, and you draw the knee in towards your chest. Now the idea of this posture is deep hip flexion, so you're not trying to straighten your leg, you're keeping it bent. The idea is to keep your thigh as close to your body as you can. Okay. Now you can hold the back of the thigh, you can hold the calf or the ankle, or you can hold your outer foot here. For those of you that are really comfortable in this posture, you could straighten down your left leg, but you don't want to compromise here and be lifting your shoulder and letting this leg move away from you. So keep it bent if that's more appropriate, and take a few breaths here. Again, we might have a tendency to misalign the pelvis. Maybe the right hip creeps up a little bit. Try and lengthen the right hip away from your right armpit. And take another 2 or 3 breaths here. Again, you're directing your breath down towards your pelvic space. Good. One more breath. And this time you can release back to your semi-supine. So this is where I think it's really interesting, where the sensations are really lovely. You can feel the difference in your two sides. You can feel the way that this right side is releasing, the way the energy is moving around the hip. Maybe that right side feels more grounded. So you take a moment or two. And then maybe bring both knees in towards you again and just squeeze and release a few times. Hug the right in, the left. And again, just observing, noticing any difference that you feel. You might want to rock a little bit or circle. Again, it's inquiry. You're just kind of exploring and feeling any difference between your two sides. You can then keep your left leg and put your right foot down on the floor, and you feel the way this right side just kind of drops down and releases into the floor, you're hugging the left leg in. You just take those first few really mindful breaths, shifting your attention over and into the left side. You maybe notice the way this side feels comparatively dull. Good. And then a little stirring. So you just begin the mobilization on this left side. So it can be a really small circle. Be sure to go slowly and be mindful. Try and be as precise as you can with the movements, and change direction as frequently as you feel you'd like to. You can close your eyes and try and look deep into your body space, deep into your hip. This is like you're doing your own body work. You're massaging into your hip, into your deep body space. You can go side to side. Just notice how that feels. Abducting away from the midline, adducting in. Maybe another circle. Whatever feels good here, as long as the movements are mindful. I think then pretty much any movement is beneficial here. Any mobilization of your hip. So you come back in, and then we bring the left ankle onto the right thigh, and we just allow that left hip to drop open. Check again the alignment of your pelvis. You know your tendency might be to do a little bit of this, to bring this right hip up towards the right armpit, move the left hip away. It makes us feel as if we're really opening the hip, but what we're really doing is shifting the pelvis. So the pelvis is still. We open the hip. We can stay here for modification, or we can bring the legs in towards us if this is where it feels good. Okay, if your shoulders are bunching, then certainly let the sacrum lift if you can, so that you can soften your shoulders down, or use maybe a belt or a scarf around the back of this thigh, like an extension of your arms, so that you can drop your shoulders down. We don't want to be bringing tension into the upper body while we're releasing the hips. So make sure you're good here. If you can keep your shoulders down and put your sacrum down, so you create a little opposition, anchor your sacrum to the floor and then draw the legs in, you'll find a really nice strong stretch there around your outer hip. So you need to find a stretch that feels appropriate for you. And stretch that we're able to sustain for a few breaths. So you breathe into your pelvic space again. Exhale away through the back, feel the shoulders soften. Of course, any of these postures we could take for a little bit longer. as we become more comfortable with them. When you're ready, you'll put your right foot on the floor, let your left leg slide all the way over your right leg. And then when you're ready, bring the legs in towards you. So we're just feeling a little bit more into the outer left hip, slightly different place. You can hold behind your right thigh or around the front of your right shin. Be aware that our propensity will be to drop over to the left. This maybe feels a bit easier. So try and find your center, and you might want to shift the weight once or twice until you feel very clear about where center is. Both shoulder blades dropping down evenly. Feeling that your weight is even on either side of your spine. And then taking a breath or two here. And breathing all the way down. And into the very low body, the pelvic space again. Soften the face. When you're ready, you can put your right foot on the floor. And again, you might just want to release your left leg, stretch it out and sort of decompress your hip flexors. And then come back in, hug the knee in towards you. Open the knee so that your shin is perpendicular to the floor, vertical. Sole of your foot looks towards the ceiling. And you bring the knee in towards your chest. You can hold your calf, your ankle, the back of your thigh, or the outer edge of your foot. Okay. You want to try and keep your shoulder girdle aligned. So if holding your foot means that your left shoulder is way up here, that's going to misalign into your neck and your spine. You want to just come maybe a little bit lower if you need to, and hold the calf or even the back of the thigh. Or again, you could use a belt or a scarf around your foot. So you center yourself, align your shoulders, bring this in towards you. If you straightened your left leg on the other side, you can straighten your right leg here. This obviously is more of a challenge. You know, you feel the opposition across the pelvis when you straighten your right leg. So be sure that you're not simply drawn into always taking the most challenging version of a posture. It may not always be the most appropriate version for us. Now breathe well, all the way down into this deep space again. Rinse away some of the tension from around your hip. And when it feels like enough, you can release your left foot to the floor. And again, you take a moment or two here to observe. The sensations are fresher in your left side, so it might feel a little bit lower. Well, certainly, maybe there'll be more sensation in the left side for a moment. If you rock your legs just gently side to side, you'll maybe feel those sensations balance out. And you feel that pleasant, open, awake sensation in both sides of your body. Bring both knees in again. And just feel here again, squeeze and release. You can side to side or circle. Again, just explore around and into your hips. See how it feels. And again, find the words that describe how your hips feel now. If they feel more spacious, if there's more yielding, if they feel springy. Good. You can put your feet on the floor. We'll just open into the fronts of the hips and extend the spine for a moment or two. So be sure that your feet are more or less underneath your knees. And then press into your feet and lift your hips up. Now, your arms can be wherever you're comfortable. For everyone here will probably feel fine. For some of us, maybe it's comfortable to take the arms a little bit higher. You press down and you root the energy into the floor and the hips start to lift. Now, be sure that you don't widen your knees as you come into this. So there's a little bit of energy hugging towards the midline. You press into your feet. Your chin moves in. And you lift your pelvis. Okay, there's no stress or strain. You breathe into your frontal space. You feel activation and strengthening into your back and behind your hips. Maybe lower almost all of the way down. So you drop your upper back, your middle back, posterior tilt your pelvis a little bit and drop into your lower back without putting your sacrum on the floor. So you just keep that little sort of scooping up through your tail. And then bring yourself up again and open. So if you find just a tiny bit more space, breathe into your belly. And then just do that one more time. So your upper back, middle back, lower back, drop down. Try and do that as smoothly as you can so you're not fragmenting but you're flowing down. Your sacrum is still slightly lifted. You have that little scoop up through your tail again. And then one more time, you just press into your feet, ripple up. Hug to the midline a little bit, so you're just activating your inner leg lines to stop your knees falling out too wide. Big breath into your belly. And again, trickle down. So upper back first, middle back, lower back, sacrum, and release. And you take a breath here. Make sure if you have your arms up high that there's no tension in your shoulders. You can always bring your arms down low. And feel that as you exhale, you really drop down into your back. Good. We'll take a spinal twist. Move your hips over to the right. So it's a generous shift over, and then your knees over to the left. Your right arm opens out to the side. Take it lower if there's stress in your shoulder. Higher if there is no stress in your shoulder. Support the legs maybe with blocks or blankets if you need to, so you don't feel that the twist is too intense. And you can change the emphasis of the twist a little bit by changing the position of your legs. So with the knees up high, the lower back will be more neutral and the twist will be maybe more in your upper back. If you want to feel some rotation more into your lower back, take your knees a little bit lower than your hips. And then your pelvis is a little bit more involved in your twist. So just notice how this feels for you. And adjust the position according to where you'd like to feel the emphasis of the posture. And you take a few breaths here again. Try and breathe big. One more. And then slowly you come back up to your center. Bring your pelvis back onto the midline. And then over to your left and knees over to your right. So classically, I think we have the knees in line with the pelvis. So it's usually where I ask you to begin in your twist. Adjust the arm if you need to. And then depending on where you want to feel your twist, you might adjust your legs a little bit. And it maybe is good for us to vary this from time to time, rather than always taking the posture in the same way. Look to feel something a little bit new or different, maybe in your twist. So again, you breathe all the way through your center. This might feel a little bit restricted in your twist, so we really attend to breathing well so that we can unwind the spine. Make sure there's no tension in your neck. And again, soften your face. Use the feet to bring you back to the center. Move the hips back onto your midline. Make any adjustments that you need to make. Sometimes it helps just to lift the head and look along your center. You bring the legs in. And just one more time here. Notice how it feels. So just squeezing and releasing gently. Drawing a circle with your knees, just sort of massaging into your hips and all around your lower back. And go both directions. Again, you just notice any difference in how you're feeling. And then you can drop down onto the floor and maybe just let yourself relax for a moment or two. So you can stay semi-supine. Your hands can be on your body, on your belly, or your ribs, or you can drop your arms to the sides. You could straighten your legs out if it's comfortable for you. Really let the legs lengthen. And we feel the extra space around the hips, softening through the back of the body. It's a nice light practice for days when we maybe don't want to do too much. So just quietly taking another breath or two. You could stay here for much longer if you wish to take a long Shavasana here. If you feel ready, you can move in any way that feels good for you. You might want to stretch out your arms, your legs. You might want to hug your knees in towards you again and just feel that lovely space around your hips and your lower back. Before you finish, take a moment or two to sit in Sukhasana. And just notice how it feels to sit in your hips, in your pelvis at the moment, if it feels easier, if it feels more spacious. This little practice would be a nice practice to set you up for your meditation, maybe just releasing the resistance from around your hips, your pelvis and your lower back. Again, feel free to be here for as long as you like. I'll say goodbye. Namaste. Namaste. And thank you. center. You bring the legs in. And just one more time here. Notice how it feels. So just squeezing and releasing gently. Drawing a circle with your knees, just sort of massaging into your hips and all around your lower back. And go both directions. Again, you just notice any difference in how you're feeling. And then you can drop down onto the floor and maybe just let yourself relax for a moment or two. So you can stay semi-supine. Your hands can be on your body, on your belly, or your ribs, or you can drop your arms to the sides. You could straighten your legs out if it's comfortable for you. Really let the legs lengthen. And we feel the extra space around the hips, softening through the back of the body. It's a nice light practice for days when we maybe don't want to do too much. So just quietly taking another breath or two. You could stay here for much longer if you wish to take a long Shavasana here. If you feel ready, you can move in any way that feels good for you. You might want to stretch out your arms, your legs. You might want to hug your knees in towards you again and just feel that lovely space around your hips and your lower back. Before you finish, take a moment or two to sit in Sukhasana. And just notice how it feels to sit in your hips and your pelvis at the moment, if it feels easier, if it feels more spacious. This little practice would be a nice practice to set you up for your meditation, maybe just releasing the resistance from around your hips, your pelvis and your lower back. Again, feel free to be here for as long as you like. I'll say goodbye. Namaste. Namaste. And thank you.